Hey there and welcome. Have you ever written an email in English, hit send, and then had that sinking feeling, wait, did that sound too blunt, a little too demanding? Well, today we're going to unpack a secret weapon that will instantly make your communication sound way more polite and professional. All right, let's jump right in. So before we get to the solution, let's talk about the root of the problem. You see, when you ask a question, you're not just asking for information, you're also sending a hidden message about your relationship with the other person. And a lot of the time, how you ask is way more important than what you ask.
Just take a look at these two examples on the screen. The one on the left, send me the price. It's practically an order, right? It almost sounds like you don't respect the other person's time. But the one on the right is so much smoother, more collaborative, and just professional. In emails or customer service situations, this difference is absolutely huge.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Which one would you rather get from a colleague or a client? Yeah, the choice is pretty obvious, isn't it? That small difference can change everything about the interaction. Okay, so what's the solution? What is this magic trick? Well, the key to professional, polite communication is something called the indirect question. This is the tool that separates basic-level communication from confident, professional English. So what exactly is an indirect question? As you can see here, it's simply a more polite way of phrasing a question. Instead of just jumping straight to the point, we soften it, we refine our request using a little introductory phrase. And here's the really important part. Why do we even bother? Because it makes our communication more polite, more diplomatic, and it just sounds so much more natural in a business setting. Imagine you're talking to a client or writing a really important email. In those moments, this is absolutely essential. All right, here comes the most important part, the real secret. If you only remember one thing from today, make it this. The golden rule of indirect questions is all about word order. The formula is actually dead simple. It's just 3 parts. First, you have an introductory phrase like, could you tell me? Then comes the question word like where or when. And finally, and this is the key, you use statement word order, not question word order. Now this slide is where the magic happens. Look at that change. The normal question word order, where is he, flips to statement word order, where he is. So why? Because you already asked the question with the intro phrase. The rest of the sentence is just a clause, a simple statement. This right here is the big aha moment. Okay, now that we know the rule, let's see how this actually works in the real world. We're going to look at some typical business situations, especially in emails and customer service scenarios. Let's start with a super common everyday task, arranging a meeting. The direct question sounds like this. When does the meeting start? It's short, to the point, but maybe a little dry, don't you think? And here is the pro version. Could you let me know when the meeting starts? See what happened? The does disappeared, and the word order flipped to the meeting starts. It just sounds so much more polite and collaborative. Let's move on to a trickier area, a customer service problem. Here, your tone is absolutely critical. Now, why was the order delayed is a totally valid question, but it can also sound like an accusation. It immediately puts the other person on the defensive. On the other hand, could you tell me why the order was delayed? Completely takes the edge off. You're asking for the exact same information, but you're not attacking. You're inviting a conversation, and that is the key to diplomacy. Let's look at a third, very common case, asking for a price quote in an email. How much does it cost is totally fine, but if you're asking about a complex service, it can feel a little simplistic. Using I'd like to know how much it costs is much more formal and polite. It signals that you're genuinely interested and that you respect the work that goes into providing that quote. Okay, so now that we've seen the good examples, let's lock in that knowledge by looking at the most common mistakes. This way, you can be sure to avoid them. The first and most common mistake, just like we talked about, is word order. Remember, after the intro phrase, we use statement order, not question order. So it's not, where is the office? It's where the office is. The second mistake is using unnecessary auxiliary verbs like do, does, or did. Since we're using statement word order, we just don't need them anymore. So instead of does it start, the correct way is simply it starts. And finally, the third common mistake pops up with yes/no questions. In these cases, we don't have a question word like where or when, so we need a little bridge. We build that bridge with the word if or whether to connect to the two parts of the sentence. And now it's over to you. Think about it. What's the next direct question you're going to transform into a more polite, more professional, indirect question in your next email or meeting? This small change can have a huge impact on your professional communication. Thanks for tuning in.